Hello everyone, it's me, the Joker, baby. No, I'm not the Joker. Thank goodness I'm not the Joker, because that'd be pretty cringe. Today, kids, we're gonna review the Joker. Everyone, that's right, the movie that got nominated for 11 Oscars, including Best Picture, Best Director, and Best Adapted Screenplay. Somehow. 11 Oscars. Wow, it's quite an accomplishment. Wow. But I don't want to talk about the Oscars right now. The Oscars are that's a topic for a whole different video. All right, that could be a video on its own. So we're not gonna talk about that now. We're just gonna talk about the Joker. And the Joker is a movie that well, it's not 11 Oscars worthy, but it's a couple Oscars worthy. I think like the score and the cinematography and the acting. Those are valid nominations. But then you just got stuff like, is this really the best picture of the year? And this sure as hell isn't the best that screenplay of the year. I don't know what else could have gotten nominated, but there's got to be something else out there that was like, ooh, this is better than Joker. Now, with all that said, I don't dislike the Joker. I like this movie. This is a solid comic book movie. It's a solid movie all around. Just 7 out of 10. Maybe a little closer to a six, but it's still a 7 out of 10. It's still a movie that makes you go, hey, I'm glad I watched that. I watched this movie twice in theaters, and the first time I watched it, I was like, yeah, that's good. And I watched a little more the second time I watched it. I was like, oh yeah, it's a little better this time. And then as I sat and I thought about it a little more, I went from that, ooh yeah, I like it even more this time, to going back to how I felt about it the first time. So I guess I didn't need to see this movie twice. I wasted my money. Oops, my bad. So let's talk about what's good in this movie. The acting is probably the best part of this movie. It really carries this movie. Obviously, you got Joaquin Phoenix as the Joker. You've got Robert De Niro appears in this movie as Murray, the talk show host, and then you got Joker's mom, played by Frances Conroy, and she's really good too. I like her. She's in American Horror Story, and I remember her from that, even though I've only seen a little bit of it. But I remember her being in what I've seen of American Horror Story, and hey, she's pretty good. She's pretty good in this too. So good job. The acting is good. There's also there's Zazie Beetz. She's here, and I feel bad for her. She got the short end of the stick on this movie, but I'll get more into that when I talk about the screenplay. But the acting's it's nice in this movie. I like the acting. Good job. I would not be disappointed to see Joaquin Phoenix walk away with an Oscar for his performance. I would prefer if maybe Adam Driver won for Marriage Story, because that's probably one of the best performances I've seen in a long time. Not just this year, but in a long time. But it's fine if you give it to the Joker. I mean, based on all the other award shows, it might go to him, because all the other award shows giving Joaquin their awards. But it's fine. It's fine. I don't care. I also like like I said, I like the score. I like the cinematography. It's almost there's some good stuff in here that I enjoy. The biggest problem with this movie is its screenplay. However, the screenplay in this movie is very it's not that great. It's really not. The fact that it was nominated for an Oscar is quite comical. This isn't a terrible screenplay, and it's not like terrible comic book movie screenplay. It's just this isn't the greatest screenplay of the year, even close. I don't think it's gonna win, but the fact that it got nominated is kind of like, is there really nothing else this year? I'm trying to think. I don't know. I mean, there probably was, but I don't know. They just didn't nominate it. I don't know why. Yeah. But, there are a lot of issues with this screenplay. Specifically, I want to talk about some dialogue. The dialogue in this movie is very, very on the nose, and it's hitting you over the head with everything, it's saying. It's like one of the first lines in the movie is, you hear the Joker say, "Man, it's getting crazier out there." And as he says it, he winks to the camera and says, "You guys get it? Do you get it?" I said, "It's getting crazier out there. Do you guys get it yet?" And I was like, "Yeah, I got it. Thank you, Joker. Thank you." And then, there's other parts, Joker's, therapist, a psychologist. She's like, they don't give a shit about you or me, And then, there's this comical point where the Joker is writing in his little diary, and he says something along the lines of, it's essentially a Tumblr post. I'm paraphrasing here. I don't remember exactly what it said, but it's essentially saying the funniest thing about having a mental illness is that you have to pretend you're normal. And it's like, wow, thanks, movie. I had no idea this guy was struggling with his mental state. Thanks, movie. So it's the screenplay is not as smart as it thinks it is. A big part of the problem is it's taking a lot from better movies, specifically Scorsese movies. People have been comparing it to Taxi Driver, which I can definitely see, and King of Comedy. I haven't seen King of Comedy, so I can't attest to that comparison, but based on what I know of King of Comedy, I think that is a fair comparison, but because, like I said, I haven't seen it, I'm going to stick with comparisons to Taxi Driver, and this is essentially Taxi Driver Light, this movie. Joker is just Taxi Driver Light. It's like, yeah, I guess, yeah, it's still good, but I'd prefer to watch Taxi Driver. I said I was going to talk about Zazie Beetz, so let's talk about Zazie Beetz. Zazie Beetz, her character is here, but she doesn't really do anything. She is the Joker's girlfriend, but it's revealed that she was actually a hallucination, which weakens the movie for me by quite a lot. I was hoping they would trade in that cliche for another cliche where she is real, but then she just realizes that the Joker's a lunatic and decides to leave him, and then that's, builds on, the whole Joker's going crazy thing, like, oh man, even my girlfriend left me, oh man. I guess it would have made it more of an incel movie, but, it would have strengthened, the screenplay, because as it is, it's just, this leads into my next big problem with the screenplay, is that, the world around the Joker is just way too fucking mean. Even in, like, Taxi Driver, the world is fucking awful and cruel, but our main character, Travis, still has friends. He has people who look out for him. And when bad things do happen to Travis, it's usually of his own doing, Like, you compare, like, in, Joker, bad people are just shitty to him for no reason. In Taxi Driver, Travis takes his girlfriend to see a fucking porno movie, and yeah, she's like, "What the fuck is wrong with you?" and tells him to piss off. So like, his world is like getting like darker, I guess. But it's Travis's fault. In Joker, the movie opens up with kids stealing his signs and just kicking the shit out of him for no reason. Maybe you could have had like Joker say something to the kids like, hey, you guys are being hooligans, you better stop being hooligans, and then they're like, yeah, you want to see some fucking hooligans, bitch? Stop bothering us, and then they attack him. Then maybe it would have been more, more like, justified, and the world would have seemed more like justified in how cruel it is. But as it is, it's just mean. Everything's mean. Even Alfred, who I think is probably like the nicest character in the canon of Batman, is just, he's a fucking asshole in this movie. So it's like, what the fuck, man? Everyone's too mean in this movie. That's the biggest problem. So the sympathy you get doesn't feel earned. The sympathy for your lead doesn't feel earned because you're just being like, yeah, everyone's mean to him, and you're like, yeah, everyone is mean to him. I feel sympathy, but it doesn't feel like, interesting or naturally earned. You're just forcing the sympathy down my throat by having everyone be mean to him. And, so, there's that. And then, there's also the Batman connection. There is, I was worried that the Batman connection was going to be a lot worse than it was in this movie. They almost made it so that the Joker and Batman were brothers. Because for a good chunk of the movie, the Joker is under the idea that his real father is Thomas Wayne, the father of Bruce Wayne, who, as we all know, is the Batman. So I was worried that they were gonna make that canon. Like, oh no, they're gonna do the whole, oh, they're secretly brothers thing, and they have no idea. Doesn't this make the character dynamic so much more interesting when it really doesn't? But no, they were smart. They threw that out the window, and instead, instead they make the Joker just adopted by his mom, which is cool because it makes him even more alone in the world, but in a way that works. I think just having him be an orphan works. But then, at the end of the movie, they show the death of the Waynes, of Thomas and Martha Wayne, and you're like, why? This doesn't need to be here. This is stupid. It pulls you out of the movie. It really does. It pulls you completely out of the movie. It's jarring to see. There's no point for it to be here. It's especially when this is supposed to be like a standalone movie. This isn't supposed to be super duper connected to the larger Batman mythology, but they throw the death of the Waynes in there, and it's stupid. And then, so another problem I have is with the third act. The third act actually starts out pretty good, and but then they start talking in the interview. The interview is the third act. The Joker Murray interview is the third act, and so the interview actually starts out pretty good, and it's like, wow, this is good. Joaquin and De Niro, they play off each other well, and the dialogue isn't that bad. It's actually pretty good here, and it feels tense, and you feel suspense going. It's like, ooh, is what's going to happen? Like how it's gonna end. The Joker's gonna fucking kill Murray, maybe kill a couple other people, but you still feel tense. You feel suspense. But the problem is then once the Joker tries to justify his brutal murders that he's been doing in the film, then he's like, oh, because why I killed those people, because everyone's so fucking mean. And then Murray says, well, not everyone's mean, but the problem is that everyone's a fucking asshole in this movie. So Murray's attempted to just cancel out the justification for Joker's crazy murder spree is no, you're agreeing with the Joker. Everyone is a fucking asshole in this movie. You're wrong, Murray. You're wrong, Murray. So that doesn't work either. But that's just once you move past that and he gets to the Joker killing Murray, that's when it gets back to being good. And then you see the ending is fine up until again that we hit another bad point where everyone's celebrating the Joker, and this is I'm gonna bring it back to Taxi Driver. What makes the end of Taxi Driver for me one of the most terrifying endings in the history of film, is because Travis goes on a terrible murder spree, and he probably fucking traumatizes Jodie Foster's character for the rest of her fucking life by murdering people in cold blood in front of her. But because of the fact that Travis just happened to be going on a murder spree and killing the right people, he's a fucking hero to the city of New York, and it's terrifying to see, because that Travis didn't care who he was killing. He was just killing to kill. But people still celebrate him for it just because he happened to choose the right people to kill. So, that's what makes it scary. He's a hero, but he's a monster. He's a hero to everyone else, but to you, he's a monster. That's what makes the ending work. And they seemingly try to replicate that ending here in Joker. He's up on the cop car, and he's going like, yeah, to the people. These are my peeps. Everyone's celebrating me. But that doesn't work because you feel like he's justified in the way, he's been acting, which is, it's like, you shouldn't feel justified. You don't feel like Travis is justified in Taxi Driver. You shouldn't feel like the Joker is justified in this movie, which is why, again, you needed the world to be slightly nicer to the Joker. You needed to give him friends. You need to give him, You need to give him, a proper love interest, which is why having Zazie Beetz be a hallucination weakens the story. I guess this is more of a nitpick than anything. I don't think this really affects the way I view the movie, but it's also just weird seeing like crowds and crowds of people celebrating the Joker when you know that in a couple years' time he's supposed to be this terrible like scourge to the city of Gotham, but here he's being celebrated. Like this guy is going to be in the history books as like this revolutionary figure. And it's like I don't know, that feels kind of weird for the Joker. This probably feels more like a nitpick because it's like this is a different interpretation of the lore, which is fine. To me, it just feels weird seeing the Joker being hailed as a hero by this many people in Gotham, I guess. And then I guess there's just the rest of the movie just kind of nitpicks for me. One of the biggest nitpicks I can think of is the Joker dance scene. Not the dancing down the stairs is what I'm talking about. The song they choose, I don't remember the name of it. People were complaining about how it was written by a pedophile. That's not my issue. That's just a fact. It was written by a pedophile. Take that as you will. That doesn't affect really how I view it. I just think it was a bad choice for song. It feels weird to throw that song in there. I felt tonally out of place. It was a bit jarring for me. There's other issues here and there. Nothing, really too big. Again, some of the dialogue I didn't touch on that I'm thinking about now. There was one point where, this isn't really dialogue. This is just more of a thing. But, Joker, he sees a sign that says "Always remember to smile" and crosses out the "Always remember to smile," and so it says, and he makes it say "Don't smile" or something like that. Again, that's paraphrasing, but that's basically what that part was. So again, the weakest part of this movie is the screenplay. If the screenplay was a bit cleaner, and if it wasn't so on the nose, and if it gave Joker more people to attach himself to and who were good to him, then maybe it would be better. But as is, it's just kind of a screenplay that's passable. It's passable and it's saved by really good, production value and performances. And speaking of production values, this is another thing I forgot to mention. I love the look of this Gotham City. This is a really nice looking Gotham City. This might be my favorite looking Gotham City. It looks decrepit and like it's falling apart and just crime ridden. It's a good Gotham City. I want to see a Batman in this version of Gotham City. Maybe not with this Joker specifically, but in this like world, this setting, this version of Gotham. And now I think I'm just gonna talk about the media frenzy now, because how can you not talk about this movie without talking the over the top media frenzy? Because everyone was saying this movie was gonna be a crazy alt-right incel movie that was gonna incite violence, white nationalism, which at first, I could see why people would assume that. There's certainly a culture around the Joker that is not great, to say the least. But to say that this is a movie that promotes, incel, white nationalism, it's gonna create violence. None of that was true. This was actually, I would say this is more of a left-leaning movie than anything, than a right-wing movie. This is a movie about the importance of, mental health and class issues, but instead everyone was saying this was a movie about, white male rage. No, not really. Now everyone just looks silly. Everyone who was talking about how this movie is going to incite violence, it's going to be this, this white nationalism dog whistle, they just seem silly now, because that's not what the movie was about at all. So great job, guys. Also, can we talk about how there was more violence at a Frozen 2 screening than at a Joker movie, which is great. It's the funniest thing in the world to me. There was a machete attack at a screening of Frozen 2, and I think people at the most were just being a bit rowdy at a screening of the Joker. So, good job, guys. Another point to bring up is how this is the first R-rated movie to make $1 billion. This is one of the highest grossing movies of all time, and I think again that the media played into that. I don't know if maybe Warner Brothers paid off the media and said, hey, give us a bunch of outrage marketing, say whatever you want about this movie to make people, rile people up and make them want to go see it more. Or maybe the media was just so fucking stupid. They didn't realize that they were helping this movie, make as much money as it did. It's a $1 billion movie now, even though it was made for $55 million. This movie, because of how much it was made for, it's more profitable than even fucking Avengers Endgame. You can look that up. It's true. So fucking trains, fucking trains going by. Well, I tell you. But so yeah, the media made this boogeyman when really wasn't really worth being a boogeyman. So thanks, guys. You made this mediocre movie get a whole bunch of money. Again, 7 out of 10. 7 out of 10 when I say mediocre. I don't dislike this movie. I feel like people are gonna say you're just a Joker hater. You're gonna get a bunch of dislikes from Joker fans. This movie is fine. It's not great. It's not terrible. It's fine. I'm glad I saw it. I'm glad it exists. And I think it's a good step forward for R-rated superhero movies. It's a good movie. 7 out of 10. Is one thing though, the argument over who's the better Joker. Is it Heath Ledger or is it Joaquin Phoenix? I don't know. I honestly think they're tied, because I feel like they're going for very different things, and they also are stylized very differently, I think, and they come from very different movies, so I feel comfortable saying these two are tied for best Joker adaptation, live action. Good job, YouTube. Quality work. So yeah, Joker. Not worthy of 11 Oscars, worthy of probably 3 Oscars, but it's a solid flick. I'm glad I watched it. I'll probably go out, I'll buy it, and I'll watch it again in the future. So yeah, it's the Joker, baby. It's the Joker, baby. Good job, guys. And so that's my review of the Joker. I'm gonna do the subscriber like and comment thing that YouTubers do. So subscribe and like and comment. Ooh. I have go follow me on Twitter, blah blah blah, Letterboxd, just the whole kit and caboodle. All right, I'll see you guys around town. Man, this channel's a travesty.